The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
The township residents are paying for.
We are talking about the so-called super mayor of Dolton, Illinois, Tiffany Henyard, who is receiving more media attention for her ridiculous public outbursts and bitter budget disputes with trustees than for really running the city. We are about to embark on one of the most bizarre political tales of the last several years. We can guarantee you that this is happening in this small village outside of Chicago, even though it looks like something from a reality show.
Everybody, is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what.
Imagine this peaceful suburban town suddenly thrust into the spotlight because of one woman's larger-than-M attitude. Tiffany Henyard, elected as the mayor of Dolton in 2021, has repeatedly made waves for her bold declarations, lavish spending, and insistence that she is untouchable. She's even coined herself the Super May, and that title alone gives you a little glimpse into her mindset. But as we're about to see, being super doesn't always mean being effective, and it sure doesn't mean everyone's going to be on your side. Now let's rewind to one particularly chaotic board meeting. This meeting was supposed to be all about passing the village's budget, but as soon as Tiffany walked into the room, it was clear this wasn't going to be your average municipal gathering. You've got to understand, Tiffany Henyard is the kind of leader who, let's just say, isn't shy about making her demands known. She came into this meeting fully expecting the trustees to fall in line and pass the budget without any further delay, but her confidence would quickly be put to the test.
Officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around.
Tiffany established the legislation as soon as she sat down. She claimed that everything had already been completed. The budget had been completed. The residents had supposedly had enough time to review it, and it was now time to proceed. She spoke to the trustees in a clearly frustrated tone, claiming that the board's intransigence was the only thing preventing her from having a functioning town. "We need a budget in place because half of the stuff you did not want to pass or approve because it wasn't a budget," she stated. But the trustees had other ideas, as she would soon discover. Trustee Brown was the first to voice concerns on the absence of a formal finance committee meeting before budget approval. The other trustees seemed to concur, but Tiffany refused to budge, and you could really feel the tension in the room building as she stated. This wasn't just a simple inquiry, it was a direct challenge to Tiffany's leadership. She blasted the need for any more delays, saying, "We did everything right as related to letting the public know about a budget meeting and a budget hearing, and now I'm pretty sure that everyone's okay with passing the budget." There was frustration in her tone.
Messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some.
Tiffany was gravely incorrect, however, if she believed that her aggressiveness would silence the room. Trustee House, who was obviously confused and stated that he wasn't sure the book had finished everything and that he wasn't ready to sanction a budget without further discussion, added to echo Brown's worries. Then there was the trustworthy Belcher, whose face did the talking. You could see the thoughts racing through her mind as she listened to the mayor's brisk address. She sat with her arms folded, obviously not interested in anything Tiffany had to offer. She had a look of both fury and disbelief. At this time, things really began to become interesting. The trustees should have been overjoyed when Tiffany claimed that the budget was balanced and even had a surplus, but instead they seemed even more skeptical. Let's be honest, what use does it serve to approve a budget now and then spend the next 5 days determining whether it's sound? It was made even more difficult by Tiffany's claim that they had 5 more days to fix any problems with the budget.
What the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing.
Under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership, Dolton's financial condition has worsened to the point where many now consider it to be a complete crisis, and residents are eagerly expecting what will happen next. The village's financial condition has been steadily worsening, with the general fund balance falling from a comfortable $5 million in 2022 to a stunning deficit of $365 million by May 2024. This decline is not only shocking, but it has also caused the trustees and the public to question whether Dolton's finances have been handled properly. Many trustees have stated that they are unwilling to approve the most recent budget without stringent scrutiny because they no longer think the mayor can guide Dolton towards stability. Locals are publicly criticizing the financial decisions made under Henyard's leadership and are growing more vocal as a result of this large financial deficit. The consequences for them go well beyond the numbers, and they perceive this as a basic breakdown in leadership and a betrayal of trust that impacts every aspect of their lives. Residents' access to public services, including infrastructure and community events, is under danger. According to allegations, funds have allegedly been diverted from essentials to cover other budgetary gaps. This financial load has heightened public resentment as Dolton residents watch their taxes plunge into what they see as a financial abyss. The accusations of financial misconduct have cast a shadow over Henyard's management, leaving it unclear what goals are in place and whether personal pursuits are prioritizing Dolton's welfare over his own. In response to mounting public criticism, a number of trustees have called for an audit of the village's financial records in an attempt to restore transparency and shed light on the reasons behind the deficit. Due to the public's increasing need for accountability, Dolton residents are increasingly demanding answers on the significant imbalance in budget distribution. Their questions are straightforward but poignant. How did Dolton get into this predicament, and why wasn't someone held accountable sooner? Henyard is being criticized for not stressing budgetary prudence, and she is encountering more and more vocal criticism. Her approach to the budget, according to others, demonstrates a government that values appearances over efficient administration because they feel that this is the only way to halt the decrease. Residents are massively in favor of trustees as they think about tightening financial controls to prevent additional budget erosion. Many residents of Dolton believe that this issue is more than just a single political disagreement. Rather, it emphasizes the larger need for long-term leadership that puts transparency first and acts in the community's best interests. The growing financial issues that have prompted local lawmakers and community people to call for reform demonstrate the glaring discrepancy between Henyard's management style and the accountability that Dolton's residents desire. Since the village's financial stability is at risk, trustees are now under intense pressure to pass policies that ensure funds are distributed to community needs rather than being lost to budgetary mismanagement. As Henyard navigates this wave of opposition, the stakes are very high. Dolton's future and the community's trust are on the line. Since effective governance is more than just statistics on a spreadsheet, the people are demanding that the fundamental promise be upheld.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
However, the showwoman Tiffany ever refused to let the residents or the trustees see her perspiration. She was adamant about achieving her objectives in spite of the trustees' constant protests. I finished the assignment you guys asked me to do, which was to create the budget for everyone to review and then make sure we were always in contact by talking to every employee about any budget-related concerns. She claimed that this resolved the issue, but because the trustees and residents weren't persuaded, an attempt was made to fire her. Freeman, Keith, one of the most interesting dynamics in this whole saga is the way Tiffany invokes her identity to deflect criticism in another tense meeting when her spending habits were called into question. She didn't miss a beat. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. Because you all are black, you all are black, she exclaimed, turning the conversation into a racial issue. Whether this was a genuine pull or a calculated move to deflect attention from her controversial actions is up for debate, but it certainly didn't sit well with everyone. Trustee Norwood, for instance, wasn't having it. How about you be a good leader and bring proposals to the forefront so not just us but residents and everyone else in America know how the money is being spent? She fired back, refusing to let Tiffany off the hook. And let's talk about that spending for a minute because it's one of the most jaw-dropping aspects of this whole story. We're not just talking about a few questionable purchases here and there. This is next-level extravagance. The trustees have been pushing back hard on Tiffany's budget because of reports that she has spent thousands of taxpayer dollars on luxury travel, first-class flights, and expensive meals. In January 2023, she and her advisors spent $43,000 on Amazon. That's right, $33,000 in a single day, and at the Four Seasons in Atlanta, where they racked up over $9,000 in charges and a $40,000 hotel bill in New York City.
For anyone from the township to go to a mayor's conference. Mayor's conference is a mayor's conference.
This is the problem. In fact, Tiffany has been quick to defend her expenditures by saying that everything she does is for the benefit of society. She doesn't appear to see any issues with it. Not only is her security detail a problem, but the trustees and residents don't understand why a person from a township should go to a mayor's conference since it's a mayor's conference for mayors. She said so at one meeting, dismissing the criticism as just publicity. A lot of attention has been paid to Tiffany's habit of traveling with a group of 6 village police officers. Even the use of police officers as personal bodyguards has been accused by some. Not that the police aren't doing a fantastic job. We're just saying that you're sending all of them to accompany you when they ought to be out there keeping the community secure. The reports of the trustees support this claim. Norwood stated, "It's a legitimate point during one discussion. With crime on the rise and resources limited, how can the town afford to deploy so many officers to protect the mayor?"
Allowed to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments. There will be anything. It will be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's direction, the Dolton financial crisis has gotten so serious that federal investigators, including the FBI, have launched a thorough investigation into her spending patterns. As her actions come under increased scrutiny, a worrying pattern of dubious financial practices is emerging, including expensive trips paid for with public cash and big unexplainable expenditures on her government-issued credit card. These revelations have sparked rumors that money has frequently been embezzled for personal gain rather than community growth, casting serious doubt on Henyard's financial responsibility and leadership. As they sift through records of costs that don't seem fair or related to village governance, the FBI's involvement shows how concerned government watchdog organizations are. One of the primary issues is the alleged poor management and non-payment of local vendors that were hired to provide essential services. The buildup of unpaid debts is causing disruptions to Dolton's everyday operations and placing vendors in a perilous financial position. Both these unpaid vendors and trustees have sued Henyard on several occasions as a result of this neglect, alleging that Henyard fabricated village records to hide the deteriorating state of Dolton's finances. Several trustees have accused her of falsifying checks and falsifying financial records in order to conceal the allocation of funds. There has never been less public trust in Henyard's administration, and her actions are being closely examined as locals question why crucial services are underfunded while extravagant spending is allowed to continue. The fact that Henyard is currently juggling a growing number of legal concerns, including lawsuits from trustees who claim she has consistently jeopardized financial transparency throughout her administration, further complicates the situation. These trustees claim that in addition to creating false documentation, Henyard deliberately concealed significant financial documents to avoid scrutiny of her spending. Henyard's reputation among her peers is further damaged by the claims, which paint her as a leader more focused on maintaining a specific public image than on addressing Dolton's pressing financial issues. Her critics say the mayor's actions are part of a bigger issue, a persistent propensity to prioritize personal interests over the welfare of the community. In a swift and forceful response to these charges, locals expressed their displeasure and disillusionment over the theft of their taxes. Social media platforms are often used to vent the frustrations of Dolton residents who feel duped by a leader they once trusted to govern their community responsibly. There are growing calls for Henyard's resignation as the investigation goes on. Instead of paying for costly benefits for elected officials, the community's residents want their hard-earned taxes to be used to promote local businesses, improve infrastructure, and fund public services. This increasing opposition is reflected in town hall meetings and neighborhood discussions, where many doubt Henyard's commitment to the role as well as her spending choices. In response to these accusations, the trustees have stepped up their calls for a thorough analysis of the village's finances and for swift action to restore accountability and openness to Dolton. The stakes are high because many residents believe that a total overhaul of the current administration is the only way to end this trend of financial irresponsibility. Larger media outlets and political watchdog groups are now taking notice of Dolton's financial troubles, and because the situation has become so out of control, they are all keeping a careful eye on the FBI's investigation. As the pressure mounts and calls for reform grow louder, Henyard will find it harder to stay in her position. The message is clear to many. They want a leader who will prioritize financial responsibility and the well-being of the community over personal benefit. The outcome of this federal investigation could potentially impact Dolton's governance in the future.
In South Suburban Dolton today, first, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial support.
Here's the real kicker, though. Despite all of this chaos, Tiffany said in a statement, "That's right, she's not going anywhere." In fact, she's doubling down on her claim that everything she does is for the people of Dolton. They know the truth, and I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years. Speaking of drama, the fan reactions to this whole situation have been absolutely wild. Tiffany understands able to exhaust people with her quick-fire remarks, as one spectator described it. Tiffany is like a filibuster, just talking on and on and on and fast and fast and fast, and everyone gets tired. Another fan commented on Fast Track's corruption and its connection to incarceration, which is, to be honest, not too far away if the FBI investigation yields any important information. The audience isn't holding back when condemning it because they know how absurd everything is. There have been several incidents in South Suburban Dolton recently. First, the state caller has suspended part of its payments to the village due to the village's failure to present financial reports in compliance with the law. Do you think Tiffany's tenure as mayor of Dolton will end, and what will become of her title and power? And do you think she will ever be held accountable for such excessive expenses? Here's the real kicker, though. Despite all of this chaos, Tiffany said in a statement, "That's right, she's not going anywhere." In fact, she's doubling down on her claim that everything she does is for the people of Dolton. They know the truth, and I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years. Speaking of drama, the fan reactions to this whole situation have been absolutely wild. Tiffany understands able to exhaust people with her quick-fire remarks, as one spectator described it. Tiffany is like a filibuster, just talking on and on and on and fast and fast and fast, and everyone gets tired. Another fan commented on Fast Track's corruption and its connection to incarceration, which is, to be honest, not too far away if the FBI investigation yields any important information. The audience isn't holding back when condemning it because they know how absurd everything is. There have been several incidents in South Suburban Dolton recently. First, the state caller has suspended part of its payments to the village due to the village's failure to present financial reports in compliance with the law. Do you think Tiffany's tenure as mayor of Dolton will end, and what will become of her title and power? And do you think she will ever be held accountable for such excessive expenses? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section, as this is a story that will likely continue until the next time.